CMPRadio.net. It's the station. CMPRadio.net, the voice of Chester.
CMPRadio.net. You already know it's your boy Uncle P, and I'm sitting here with a very special guest, man. He's running for mayor of the city of Chester, Mr. Stefan Roots. How you feeling, brother?
I'm doing so well you wouldn't believe it.
I wouldn't believe it. I can probably believe it. Right? What's going on, man? How you feeling, man? Last time we had a conversation, you were running for city council, and everybody was saying the same thing that they're saying today. Who is Stefan Roots?
They still asking that question?
Why wouldn't they?
Well, I just thought they knew me by now. But if not, I can tell you who I am.
Right.
We can do a repeat performance.
Let's do that.
All right. So the full name, for those of you who need to know, that government name is Stefan Eric Roots. Grew up in Norris Park, which is right around 7th and Tillman, across from the LV. I'm just a kid from Chester. Grew up playing sports, basketball, going to school, just like everybody else. Fortunate for me, I had the opportunity to go to college, went to Villanova, got an engineering degree, and then started that corporate life. Philadelphia Gas Works, IBM. Moved out to Denver in 1994, did 5 years out there with IBM, came back to New York City, living that high life in Manhattan, working for the big company, IBM. And then those planes flew into the building, 9/11 hit. And got rid of our entire department, and that's what brought me back to Chester in 2002. How are people asking who I am? When I came back, I went to work for the Daily Times. They fired me after 10 months. Got a little mad about that, but I realized that I was one of the first fired at a time when newspapers were going down, 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 down. Nobody buys a newspaper anymore, but back in the early 20s, in the early 2000s, everybody was buying paper. Chester was the #1 town for the Daily Times. But I took that lemon and turned it into lemonade and started my own community, well, I'll say the city's own paper. It was called Chester Spotlight. We started it it was me. I had all the jobs. I was wearing all the hats. That started in 2006. So April 2006, started Chester Spotlight, and I just started writing stories about Chester. Easy to write stories about Chester because I knew a lot of people in Chester, business owners, families. Got to know what was going on inside of City Hall, the school district, sports, all that kind of stuff. So that was a fun and very important piece of work that I've done. The paper was in the paper form for 4 years before it morphed into the blog, which you can find right now on chesterblog.com. chesterblog.com. Still not writing as much as I used to, but for those of you who don't know me, you can just go back to years and years and years of community journalism. Got into city politics about 2 years ago, municipal government, by running for council. I finally came to the conclusion that, with all this knowledge from all this journalism, community journalism, who better to run for city council? Chances of winning were slim to none. The people were pretty much entrenched. The same people were getting voted in and year out. There weren't any fresh new names out there, so just took a shot at it, put together a campaign team, ran what we figured was a a pretty professional campaign and really kicked ass. I mean, just won in the primary by a large margin and won by an even larger margin in the general election. It's hard for people to say they don't know me when so many people remember the music truck that we had flying around town. It was all about, in some cases, showboating. Like, we had to reach people in the city where they are, and the music, the truck, the swag we gave out, the hats, the shirts. People still wear them. People still remember them. So I've been a city councilman for close to 2 years now in this administration. And as everybody knows, we're up at that point where it's time to vote for a new mayor, time to elect a new mayor. So with the couple years experience of pretty much putting together what I learned out here as a community journalist with what I'm finding out right here, having a front row seat in city government, I see that there's a need for a new leader here in the city. So here I am running for mayor.
So I have questions.
Look at that. You look like you got a deck of cards there. My goodness. I hope I have a deck of answers for you. Okay, here we go. Well, for all the obvious reasons, Chester needs a fresh start, not a tragic end. And I'm going to end with that. I mean, Chester just needs a fresh start. We can't continue going down the path that we're going right now. Chester is exploding before our eyes. The press, the newspaper articles, the attention that we're getting, not just within our own community, but within the county, within the state, all across the country, all eyes are on Chester. We need somebody who's going to get us out of this financial situation that we're in, and that's me. That's me. I know how to lead. I've been leading big organizations for years, whether it's corporations or my own business. I know how city government works from just the 2 years that I've been in there, and I absolutely know what doesn't work. So it's time to just push some people aside, take the seat, and lead this direction, lead the city in the direction it needs to go. Relate to the people. I mean, the people need somebody that they can relate to. I don't think they're relating really well to the current leadership. If this is a stake, as they call it, the real political heads call this a stake election, not the kind of steak that you eat.
I was about to say.
But the stakes are so high. And it's really up to the voters. I mean, the voters have to come out and really identify the fact that if we stay with the current leadership that we have, the city is essentially done. And you're going to talk about all those issues later.
Yes, we are.
Everyone's looking for a fresh start, not just in the city, but in the county, in the state, and believe me, nationwide. We're an embarrassment, and we got to get that pimple off our face.
We definitely do. I know all about the pimple. I got one right now. Anyway, what do you believe is the role of the mayor of the city of Chester?
That's a great question. As a business, if you look at the city as a business, it's a $65 million business, and we say that because that's what the budget is. The mayor is the chief executive officer. The mayor is the person who creates the vision for what the city is going to be and what it's going to become, not just now, but down the road. The mayor is the city's biggest cheerleader. He's the person who goes out far and wide, whether it's within his own community, whether it's right next door, whether it's across the country, and he lets people know that we got something here and that, the city's wide open for, in this case, growth and expansion and opportunity. That's a big role of what the mayor has to play right now. The mayor is the person who is going to structure government to work for the people. And right now, we've gone through a rough patch. COVID came and we're financially strapped and people have been displaced out of city government. We've got to fill that gap right now. We have to fill all the gaps. We have to do a full restructuring of city government. Mayors are the guys who make these contracts. We can't continue to get involved in bad contracts with $12 million exit clauses and the city not making any money. You have to be smart about making contracts. The mayor is somebody who surrounds himself with some really smart people smarter than him. In the situation of Chester right now, in the dire state that we're in, that we're in, it's critical that we get the people on board that's going to help us move forward. The mayor is the most critical part in city government. He's got to work with his city council. That's something that I haven't seen at all in the couple years that I've been involved. What we have now is a mayor who's pretty, it's pretty much all about him. He hasn't given me a single assignment since I've been on board in the last 2 years, and I think I'm the smartest guy in the room. Right. He always seems to want to blow my candle out to make his look brighter. I think that's crazy. We should be working together, as a mayor and council, even if we don't agree. So that's one of the things the mayor has to do is just look at his key assets, look at his key team. I want to tell you a story. I was talking to Biddy League guys, like the little 10, 11-year-olds, and they don't know what city council people are, but I asked anyway. And the one kid said, is a city councilman like Santa's helper? And I was like, well, damn real. That's what it is. And sometimes I don't feel like I'm being asked to help enough. Right. So I'm really looking forward to bringing in, my city council to get their ideas and figure things out. So the mayor is a big job, but the biggest job that the mayor needs to do right now is identifying talent, brains, ideas, and getting the city moving forward. And we cannot do it as a mayor all by ourselves. And that's what we got right now. We got a guy who wants to make all the decisions. You can just see from his campaign. Like if his campaign is any indication of how he runs the city, you can see how we differ. Like he has a ticket. It's him. It's two council persons. It's a controller. But if you look at that lawn sign that you see all across town, it's just him. It's just him. So that's exactly what you have in place right now, and that's exactly what you're not going to see with me as mayor.
2 campaigns that you've run, it's just been you though, right? So can you explain what you just said, right? It's not going to be just you. How do you plan on working, and what is your management style?
Yeah, I have to honestly say I'm very, very, very disappointed that it's only me. That's never the plan. We could have easily beat the second candidate in the council race last year if we had another candidate to run with. It's not a matter of not seeking out candidates, not what's the political word, vetting candidates, identifying candidates. We had some good people that we talked to, but for one reason or another, and a lot of it is just fear, intimidation that exists in this town. They did not want to run. They didn't want to risk their jobs. They didn't want to risk their reputation. They didn't want to risk losing and having a thumb on their neck for the rest of their lives. So at some point, you just have to just say, forget it. Let's just roll. We won by so much. It's obvious to anybody who follows this stuff that we could have beat the second candidate hands down, no problem. We're in the same situation again. It would make a lot more sense if we had a ticket. That's what it's called when, I'm at the top of the ticket as mayor, identify a couple city council people, identify a controller. We can even go school board. We can even go district judge. I mean, we can go all the way, right. Up and down the ticket.
Right.
Same situation exists. Like until this fear and intimidation is blown out of this city, the right people that need to identify themselves and step up and run for these offices are not going to do it. It's not worth it to them. They don't want to take the risk. Some of them have good jobs and they're trying to feed their family. When petty and incompetence comes together, that's called Chester politics. That's the stuff we're getting rid of.
That's the stuff we're getting rid of. First 90 days in office, what do you hope to be able to implement? New plans, new procedures?
It's not a hope. You don't get into this thing hoping. So what's going to happen on May 16th is I'm going to win the election. On May 17th, I'm going to take a long nap. On May 18th, we're going to go to work. So what work means is we've identified key areas in this city and identified people that we want to bring in, and there's that word again, vet or interview, to be that transition team. So when we do hit the ground running, provided we win the November election, which is pretty much a given, on the first week of January when we take office, there's going to already be some things in place. What are they going to be? It's going to be identified or made more clear as we get through the summer and the fall. But I tell you the first thing that I'm going to do, and it's something that's critically important in this town, I'm going to meet every business owner in this city in the first 90 days. That's my number one objective. I want to shake hands and look eye to eye to every business owner in this town, because The connection between the businesses in this city and city government is like this. We know the big guys, but do we know all the guys on the riverfront? Do we know all the guys that have these little businesses going on? Why do we want to get to know them? Because they need to be hiring our people.
Yes, they do.
We need to, people say, bring businesses to this city so people can work. But we have businesses in this city and our people aren't working. That's critical that we make that relationship. Too many people drive into this town from all over the place. And at the end of the workday, they're driving out. We don't know what they make. I'm not talking about salary. I'm talking about, are they manufacturers? Are they, what do they do? We just don't know. So the first 90 days, that's going to be in place. There's already some good things going on in city government that the direction is being changed. And, the one thing I'm going to promise you is that we're going to certainly treat this city like a business by getting those partnerships within our city solidified first.
If you are to win, your seat becomes open. Who are some of the people you are looking at to take that seat?
I'm not.
Not looking at anyone.
Not looking at anybody.
Right.
I kind of going back to your former question, every time I've looked at somebody,
Right.
there's that
thing.
That thing.
Right.
Yeah, that thing that's blocking them. So first
May
thing we have
18th, right?
Yeah, first of all, we got to win.
Right.
So, and you did say if we win.
Right.
So at that point, I think that there will be some people who will identify themselves as being candidates.
Right.
There's people in my mind that I can say I'd like to consider, but right now it's not even on the radar. That won't take place until January anyway. So we got a real long time to figure that out.
Yeah, but if you're thinking about mayoralship, then you need to know who's on your council, right? So when you move up, because after this election, that's it. There'll be one in November, but you won't be running against anyone on the ballot. There's nobody from the Republican side. Chef Lamont is running a write-in campaign. I'm not saying, he won't win, but I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm saying on the Democratic side, if you win, you win. That's it. Yes. So from that point on, it's time to start moving and thinking as a mayor. From May 18th, you're moving into another seat. Nobody? You're not thinking about anybody? Or?
Yes, I am thinking about somebody.
Okay.
I thought you were asking for names. I'm not going to give you any names right now.
All right.
But yeah, that's certainly a consideration. But the first consideration is me winning. The second consideration is to see who survives the council race, because some of those candidates might become eligible as someone to fill that spot. So that has to be factored in as well. And then anybody else who just might pop up and say, "Hey, I'm available now where I wasn't available before."
Right.
There's a lot to consider, but it's certainly not anywhere close to being figured out right now.
Awesome.
But it is important. And I think the other thing that's important as well is that even though it's an appointment, I can't dictate who's going to take that seat. Right. It still has to be voted on by the rest of the council people. Right. So, here's one of the first opportunities to sit down with the council members that are left. There'll be 4 of us, myself, the 3 remaining council people. We're going to have to put our heads together and see as they figure out how the vision of the city is going to go forward, what would be the right person to fill this gap. Hopefully we can all come to an agreement. Chances are we won't. So it's going to be one of the first tests of my mayordom,
right.
To see who fills this seat.
So another question along with that is, if let's say all of Thad's people win, and his council is sitting up there, you vacate the seat. Do you think that council will then appoint Thad for that seat? Because if it's 4-1, you know what I mean? They can appoint Thad, right?
It'll be 3-1, and yeah, they can appoint anybody. I didn't hear that he wants to do that.
Right.
Does he want to be a council person? I mean, he's been a state rep and a mayor and then a council person. How many more demotions are you going to get? I mean, I don't think he would want to be a council person in this administration, but you never know. I hadn't even considered that,
Right,
but that's
right.
a wild thought.
Yeah,
That's a
it
wild
is.
thought.
It is.
If he loses the election, will the people in the town who voted him out, will they even feel good about that? I mean, will they revolt? Will they say, hey, we wanted this dude out? What do you mean, council, you're voting him back in? That'll be an indictment not only on him for even attempting that, but for the people to vote on him. So
tons of indictments are handed out to the people of city council daily. We got checks being written that weren't. We got scams going on. We got people flim-flamming. People fall asleep during council meetings. People don't show up. Right? There's tons of stuff going on.
that stuff's going to end.
For me,
that stuff's going to end. Believe me.
instantaneously, when I think about everybody that's running, I say, you know, who is aligned to the new future of Chester? And it's just you. It's you by yourself. So if everybody else is aligned to this, when it comes time to appoint a council person, put that up there.
I think it's just me now.
Right.
Because the fear and intimidation element is so strong. It's been so strong for so long.
Okay.
Once that thing is gone, we're going to uncover the veil. We're going to open the curtain. We're going to see where people really sit.
Awesome.
You know, do they have the courage? Do they have the boldness to move the city forward? Or do they just want to get stuck in the muck and mire that we're in right now? I think people want to move forward. Some things just have to get out the way.
Absolutely. Based on what you know about city government, what do you see as a top priority for the city and why?
Well, it's pretty easy right now. We got to get this receiver out of here. Now, I'm not saying get him out the way before doing his job, but allow him to do his job so that we can get our finances right so we can come and run this city again. One of the things that people are really just confused about is they think, or they're even making the narrative, that the receiver is going to change how the city looks and feels forever, and it's not the case. In the time that he's here, he's trying to reshape government so he can get things done that need to be done, to get the finances right. But once he's gone, it's back in our hands. It's up to us to keep things rolling. So, I mean, there's no other first. The first thing to do is to get our money right, because if we don't, like he said, we can run out of money before we get through bankruptcy. And if that's the case, the city's done. So, you know, we talk about council a little bit. You have to understand that how important is council, mayor, and council when the receiver's still here, when the receiver's still kind of running the show here so he can get us straight. He wasn't expecting to be here for 3 years, and now through bankruptcy might be 4 or 5. He, like Gilligan's Island, what did they call it, a 3-hour tour? He was only here for 2 years. I mean, that was it. We're the only city ever in Pennsylvania of the 7 that has been in receivership that has resisted receivership. Like, the only way you get out of receivership is to go through receivership. And we're just sitting here like blocking him and giving him all kind of resistance. The state is like scratching their head like, we sent you to Calvary. We're giving you the help you need. No one has ever anticipated the type of resistance to the help that we've received from the state. And you know, it's to the point now that it's all the way to the Supreme Court. We're just dilly-dallying, waiting, wasting time, you know, when these guys should be working on the books, getting the book straight. Now they got to prepare for a court case that's going to be heard on May 24th and ruled on sometime in the future. That wasn't the plan. In fact, I'm really surprised the Supreme Court is even hearing this case. I thought when the city sent them the letter and says we appeal the judge's decision, that they'd say, from where? Chester, PA? Boom, return to sender. Like, we ain't playing with y'all. The judge said what the judge said. Right. But the judge had a hard time making a decision because no one has ever resisted receivership before.
Right.
So the Supreme Court had a really, almost a nice assist or a layup now. They can put some things in place so that if in the future some town is as silly as Chester resisting receivership, the judges can say, listen, we've been through that before. Here's the authority that your receiver has for the time that he's here so he can get y'all straight and then get out of here without just wasting all this time.
That's crazy because the next question was, can you work with the receiver? But we see that you can.
Well, I'm almost mad that you asked me that question,
right.
But it's a great question. Right. Can I work with the receiver? Yeah. I'm the only one working with the receiver. What people fail to realize, and I kind of blame it on the press, and I'm talking about the newspapers, because it's like when we vote on things in council, even if there's one no vote, the result is mayor and council approved whatever, right? Even though there's a dissenting vote. So I've been the dissenting vote on everything that's sort of, almost everything that's anti, that the receiver has brought up. So when the receiver wanted to take us to court his filing was harsh. And the city was like, nah, we don't want that. Got in the same room, couldn't agree on what we wanted. So the receiver was just going to go to court with what he had. I was like, I'm going to call the receiver. Can we sit down and talk? So things like having total say over everything in the city government. I was like, Mr. Receiver, that ain't going to happen. You can have some thoughts, some opinions, but us in city government, because people voted for us to make these decisions for the city, we have to make these decisions together. He took his eraser out and said, hey, you're right. So it's going to be receiver and city government, mayor and council. The other thing I did agree with is I really don't think we should be running departments. He was like, okay, good, that's what I said. But I said, Mr. Receiver, we need to create committees because some of this work needs to get done regardless. People don't vote for council people to run departments. They vote for council people to represent them in the city. It's only when we show up at City Hall that the mayor appoints us to these departments. And believe me, it sucks the air out of the room because once we step into City Hall, we become employees. We become the bosses of our departments. And it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort. It fractures city government, which is some of the problems that we have. But the bottom line is, I told Mr. Receiver, I'm cool with just being a city councilman because that's what people vote on me for. But we have to put the people in place to run these departments who are qualified to run these departments. But there's some issues and factors that don't fall cleanly in these departments, so we'll set up some committees. He was like, you know what? He broke out the eraser, put his pen in, do that. The other part was, and it was really only a 3-part ask that I had of him, I said, we need a chief of staff. You know, our employees report to all 5 of us. It's really, that's why the judge says we're dysfunctional, because people don't know what to do, don't know who to answer to.
Absolutely.
So a chief of staff is just that, a chief of the entire staff. Mm-hmm. He's the guy at the top of the totem pole, if you will, who manages the entire employee base of the city other than elected officials.
But if we already have that, isn't that what Ron Starr was doing? Wasn't that his title?
That was his title.
Okay.
So we'll just stop there. That was his title. But now, you know, we have a chief of staff in place who is really taking that job seriously. Okay. But put that in it. Right. So the whole case that the receiver brought to the judge against the city was called the Roots Compromise. It's written right there in the order that the judge ruled on. Right. When she said, the city, this is the way you go, this is based on the Roots Compromise. So that's, there can't be any more proof of me working with the receiver.
Why is it that city government is not working with the receiver?
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with pride. A lot of, I mean, we're a proud city. I'm not going to deny that. Right. We're a proud city.
A lot of heart.
Huh?
A lot of heart.
A lot of heart. A lot of pride.
Right.
It's difficult if somebody comes into your house and starts looking in your paperwork, going through your file cabinets, looking under the drawers, and exposing it publicly. It becomes a bad look on you. Okay, so you know you're protecting your reputation very firmly, but having the city continue to go down the hill, go down into the toilet. There's no reason to resist a receiver. The only way to get out of receivership, we don't have a choice on this. Like, we didn't ask for this. It was the government. It was the governor who looked at us and says, you running out of money.
Right.
We gotta straighten that out. Y'all don't seem to have the skills in place to get this done. We're gonna bring dude down here and he's gonna straighten it out for you. Implied in that is that we're gonna work with, or just get out the way and let him do his job.
Right. So I was thinking about the school district. Their receiver has complete power. So the school board is like powerless right now. They can't do too much. But that receiver is doing like what the school board does. So why isn't this receiver doing the same thing, right? And that's why he's in court trying to fight to get it? Or okay. All right. Cool. What does disincorporation mean to you and for the city? Like, explain, like, real I think of disincorporation as we just become a part of the county and the other municipalities around here can basically come in and buy land and take over. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you lose your city. You absolutely lose your city. That's what this incorporation means. You're out of money. Somebody's got to run you.
Right.
I'm not even going to explain it. I mean,
Right.
It's a really simple concept. It's not a scare tactic. The receiver has always been very clear when he got here, what's next. He came here as receiver. He should have been gone in 2 years. Receivership is over. City, hand it back to you. Go run your show.
Right.
But he always said, if this receivership doesn't work, there's a chance we can go into bankruptcy. We're in bankruptcy now. Now he's saying if we run out of money before bankruptcy over, the next thing is unincorporation. So he's always told you what's next if things can't get done.
What distinguishes you from other candidates?
Well, we only have 2 other candidates. I mean, we can really quickly.
Right.
The Mayoral candidate just has, number one, no government experience. In Chester, you got to be from Chester if you're going to try to run Chester. I mean, come on. I mean, that's just a given. As far as the mayor himself, he's had 8 great years to address Chester's most important problems, and he's ignored them all. I love the fact that he always points back to the fact that the problems preceded him, and financially, of course they have. We've been in this financial help from the state for 25 years. So in taking the job and wanting to take the job and wanting to leave your cushy state rep job to come down to the city, it should have been with all the resources that the state rep position had afforded you, over all those years of relationships. That's what I really thought we were going to get. We had a Democratic governor in Wolf. I'm like, wow, he's bringing down the cavalry to come and fix this stuff. And to hear what he's saying now is like, it wasn't really a priority to deal with the financial situation. And all I'm trying to do is kind of, brush this off of me right now, because all this started before me. Just tells me that he was an insincere candidate from the beginning. I mean, he came in here not to fix Chester's problems, but just to kind of accentuate Chester's problems. Now all of a sudden, or I don't even know if now all of a sudden, he wants to turn around because he's continuing to stay down this same path. He's resisting the help that's here. He's not seemed to demonstrate to me that he has any financial acumen. He's not surrounding himself with anybody who's, the best and brightest in finance. He's not even taking the materials that the receiver has uncovered and use them to his advantage and say, you know what, with the stuff that the receiver has brought us, we can actually make our own plan to get out of government or get out of our financial situation. That's what people were looking for. What's the city's plan to get out of our financial mess? And he has not presented one at all. And that's why, you just can't pick away at the receiver's plan. What is your plan? If you want to have a real battle that has any feet or any fight to it, it's your plan versus his plan. It's not no plan versus picking away at his plan. So I don't need to come in with a plan for the finances. I need to get on the team that's getting the finances right. And that's our receivers team.
So we have a question real quick from the live.
Great.
Aside from that, what's your plan of action? It's a question Nia Noel just put on Facebook.
Aside from
what Thaddeus Kirkland and all that stuff, right? What's your plan?
I mean, I almost feel like a broken record here. It's not a hard answer. We have help right here in our city. Right. We've got to utilize it. We can't fight against it. These guys are here to help us get our finances straight so we can, in turn, get our city back and run it. Look, I've got connections, I've got friends, I've got associates. Despite the state that the city is in, they want to come and help. We have to make those connections. We have to form those partnerships. I told you the first partnerships that we need to form are the people that are already here in the city. These are the people who have committed to doing their business in the city. They have employees in the city. They're making products in the city, and we don't even know them. So that's first. If there's others that want to come in and help us, I mean, we're at rock bottom right now. Who's inviting people in? It's kind of difficult to do business in Chester right now. If you look at almost every neighborhood in the city, I call it the snaggletooth neighborhood. There's a house, there's an abandoned house, there's an empty lot, there's that. I mean, we got to cobble these things together and make them attractive for sale so that people can come in and put the type of homes that you want to live in, the type of businesses that you want to spend your money on. But I'm an open book. Like, these aren't going to be like my cronies or my friends or somebody behind the scene. You guys can come and meet them. You can talk to them. You can decide whether it's something you want to see coming into the business, coming into the city with their businesses. But it all makes so much sense that we cannot let the city continue to crumble brick by brick by brick. We have to start building this thing back up. Disincorporation means you got nothing left.
Nothing.
We got to bring something here. Nothing breaks my heart more than seeing Wells Fargo just tiptoe out of town without even a meeting. Like, y'all, Wells, hold up. Like, when your biggest bank, national brand bank, just leaves your town is suffering. It's hurting. We didn't even have a conversation with those guys.
I believe it was with no bank in the city of Chester.
Well, we got the TD Bank, up there near Widener.
That's Widener's bank. That's why they're there. That's Widener's bank. That bank over town was an overtown bank. Like, you could come over town, you can use it, you can spend. No ATMs. You know what I mean? Like, now we have to have businesses that have ATMs, and then people.
Listen, going back to your question, like, what is a mayor? A mayor, he's not the boss of the city,
right?
Because you guys are the boss of the city.
Absolutely.
Like, I work for you. I work for you. I work for you guys.
Say that again.
One of the things that really troubles me is that the only opportunity you guys get to come in and talk to mayor and council are these city council meetings. Now, I think it's really important that you understand what's going on in city council, but that's city business. That's what that meeting is all about. And then you get a small opportunity to have your little public comment. But that ain't enough time for you guys to come to us as elected officials and tell us what you want, what your problems are, what your issues are, to get questions answered, to get problems solved. So if you're asking about what we're going to do on that end, I mean, we want to flip-flop meeting times, first of all. 4 times a year, we have nighttime meetings. I'm going to flip that from day one to 4 times a year. We'll have daytime meetings, and then all the meetings will be at night. We're going to have other nights of the week that City Hall will be open for people to come in and express themselves. We're going to have times when city government is going to go out to the communities, and talk to you on a regular basis. Remember, guys, I have been the community journalist since 2006. Whether you read my stuff or not, I'm a communicator. And we're going to find ways to reach people. It ain't going to be just Facebook. I mean, Facebook casts a wide net, but it has a lot of holes. We're going to start that TV channel up so you can see what's going on a daily basis. I kind of don't like the word transparency because it gets confusing, because there's some things in city government maybe you shouldn't know, but there's no way in the world the doors shouldn't be open for you to come and talk to us, tell us what you want so we can present to you what you want. I want to hear your ideas. I mean, I have a vision that goes a long way for the city of Chester. My vision isn't just next week or next year. I'm looking for that 10-year-old right now, or that 5-year-old, to, when he turns 25 and 30, not pull up and move to Delaware. Chester's going to be his home because he decided, or his mama decided, that this is what we want to see in Chester. I'm an open book, man. I don't have any cronies. I mean, this is a crony-driven kind of government right now. There's a lot of loyalists. There's a lot of people who get favors. There's a lot of friends and family stuff going on. I don't have any family other than my wife here in the city, and I don't have a bunch of kids and nephews and son-in-laws and all that kind of stuff. I don't have that. All I have is you, the citizens. So the connection that is going to be made as me with mayor is between me and the citizens.
Do you have any personal or professional relationships that could become a conflict of interest while serving the city of Chester as mayor?
No, but I have a lot of personal and professional relationships that's going to help this town And that's really the superpower I have. That's really the superpower I have. I mean, there's people that I've met along. I'm 62 years old. Like, I'm no spring chicken. I've gone to some of the best schools. I've worked from the biggest country. I've been around the country. I know people around the world. I know people who, just because of the relationship they have with me, they want to help the city. They don't want nothing else out of it. They want to see the city on the come up. Do you know how many stars that we can make in this town amongst our own population, amongst people who want to come in here and turn things around? I mean, they just come in and look at a dead town, a town that's on rock bottom, and just boldly and courageously and almost take high risk and come in here and say, listen, I want to take a chance on that place, because if it turns around, we all look good.
Definitely.
So, no. To answer your question, no.
How are you funding your campaign?
Just like any other campaign is funded. You have fundraisers, you ask for money. It's a pretty simple process. People fund good government. So my job and my campaign team's job is to identify those people who want to fund good government. And it kind of gets back to my last point. A lot of people don't want to see Chester in the position that it's in. And if they see that there's somebody, myself, who can come in and make changes, someone that they want to do business with, someone who they comfortably would write a check to the city and don't believe it's going to get lost, somewhere else, or not spent appropriately, that's what it's all about. So it doesn't take a lot of money to run a campaign here in Chester, but whatever dollar that we earn in donations in Chester has to be, spent very, very smartly.
Very smart. Last question.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Let me get a sip then.
Yeah, go ahead, get some.
I'm feeling a little rough around the vocal cords.
Why should voters cast their ballot for you? And if they do, what can you promise will happen as mayor of the city of Chester?
Promises. That's always a dangerous place for a candidate to go. Promises. Because if they don't make it, you didn't keep your promises. What's the other guy's campaign slogan? Promises made, promises kept. Straight from the book of Trump. That's crazy. I'm not going to make any promises. But why should they vote for me and not the other guy? And again, the woman is not even a factor. I don't even know why she's in the race, other than I don't know why she's in the race. So that's an important question, because it's really about the voters. It really is more about the voters than it is the candidates right now. Because if you vote in the current mayor, the incumbent mayor, Mayor Kirkland, the city's done. The city's over. When you say that word, unincorporation, Kirkland equals unincorporation. Nobody's going to send any money here to the city of Chester to help us, even if they would like to. I heard Kirkland say a couple weeks ago that, he's going to roll up, he and council are going to roll up to Harrisburg and get that check. And I heard he rolled up to Harrisburg and didn't come home with a check. Nobody's going to give this dude no money, because the history in the last 8 years of the city is we've done nothing but show bad examples of how to manage money. If you vote for me, my relationships, my connections, my intel tells me that at least there's someone that they can work with, that they can start the process with. This city will be saved if I'm elected. Will it last forever? No. It's incumbent upon me to run this city right once we get the help that I know is out there that's going to come to the city. The one thing I will promise you is that the money will not follow Kirkland. The money's not going to come here with Kirkland. It's not going to come. This thing is going to be, this could be the last mayor's election ever in the city of Chester.
That's crazy. Wow.
And that's real talk, y'all. That's real talk.
The last mayoral election in the city of Chester, if it's still a city.
If it's still a city. That's as real as I can put it. You know, believe it or not, I have nothing to lose here. You know, I'm putting it all out on the line, or as they say, what is basketball playoff time? I'm leaving it all on the court, and I'm doing it because I love this city. I love the people in the city. The people in the city deserve to have a city to live in. Chester deserves more. That's our slogan. But more importantly, or as importantly, we've got to put some respect on our name. These last 8 years. Look, I've got articles from the last 2 or 3 days. WHYY, Philadelphia Inquirer, Daily Times. They're all talking trash about Chester. We get no respect, and these articles go nationwide. We're the laughing stock of municipalities in the country. The 31st municipality in the whole United States of America in the last 85 years to file bankruptcy. And then I read something in the paper today that ain't no big deal. It's just bankruptcy. People used to being in a bad financial condition. Hell no. Nobody wants to. Do you want to be in bankruptcy?
No, I don't.
Do you want to have no credit? Do you want to not be able to buy a car? Do you want to not be able to get even electricity turned on in your home? That's what it means when your city is in bankruptcy. We're in bad shape right now, y'all. And the other mayors like poo-pooing it, like, oh man, that's all political. That's, you know, he just playing politics. Man, this is real. This is very real. We're at the end of the line, y'all. I'm going to start off with the statement I said when I came in here. Chester needs a fresh start, not a tragic end.
I want to thank you for stopping through. This interview has been scheduled for, quite some time. The incumbent mayor is coming through on Tuesday. I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
I know you. I know your heart. I know your desire, your will to want to change. And I hope you get that opportunity. I do.
Well, before you go on, I just,
go ahead.
You and I have been in that same community journalist space for a really long time.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm a writer. Right. You're this.
I'm whoever this is.
You're
right,
this.
Right.
And I know the knocks that you take trying to keep your thing alive.
Right.
But like when I still remember your kickoff.
Yep.
That day, and I pulled you aside and said, man, we're that 1-2 punch, man.
Absolutely.
We're that group that's going to communicate the truth, to the city. It hurts me as it hurts you when people tell you fact, not fiction.
Right,
You're telling lie, when the only reason we have these platforms is for people to hear the truth.
Right.
And, to have to endure people challenging the authenticity that we have, the originality that we have, the compassion that we have, and just the God-given gift of wanting to tell the truth, of letting things out. Like, for people who were to go on Chester Blog right now, you'd probably scroll down and say, well, he doesn't write much anymore. You know why I don't write much anymore? Because I can't write the truth as I see it. It would hurt some feelings. It might hurt me.
But the truth hurts.
But
the truth hurts.
Huh?
The truth hurts.
The truth hurts. And people, was it Jack Nicholson? You can't handle the truth. And that's some of the things that's going on right now. But believe me, man, as mayor, you're going to get that authentic, truthful Stefan Roots. You're going to get that guy who is going to make all of the citizens proud that the city has a respectable person running the city. He's a boss. I've been a boss for years. I'm going to be a boss in this city. I am never going to be a career politician. I've got 7 grandkids. I can't wait to get this thing launched, get this ship turned, move it in the right direction. If I'm not the mayor, I'd love to be around as an advisor to advise these younger crew that's coming up. This city needs to young up in government. We need the 35 and 40-year-olds in here who are bosses out on these streets to be bosses in government. We need you guys. So please, I'm just being real right now, guys. I mean, whatever happens on May 16th is going to happen on May 16th. Absolutely. If y'all want to go with the status quo, you're taking a big risk for your city. If you want to see this thing change, if you want to see the type of help that I'm telling you is going to come, that's the chance you really need to take. If I was a gambling man going down to Harris, I'd bet on Stefan Roots on May 16th. That's the only lever you need to pull. And this, we were with a group of people last night, and they said, the problem with Steph is he ain't a politician. He's just a genuine dude. And, you know, you got to learn the political game, and the political game, you know, it's not always just a game, but, you know, and I got to know how to manipulate through different governments. But the bottom line is it's about people. It's about saving this city right now. This is a critical time. I'm telling you, this is a critical time. We ain't going to get to January if you vote that other dude in. I'm telling you right now.
Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate you stopping through. Again, man, cmpradio.net, man. You already know it's the station. Make sure you tune in. Go back and look at the old videos. We done already interviewed Fred Green, Will Morgan. Who else we interviewed?
That Barbara Muhammad interview was strong.
Barbara Muhammad came through here and explained this incorporation or unincorporation, or how you work with the receiver. Listen, we're already working with a receiver with the school district. Why can't we work with this receiver? Someone that comes in with financial stability and understanding how things work, when they come in and put things in place, it's nothing wrong with following that person. You know what I mean? Because he's allowing you to get things in line so he can leave and you can take over the city and you learn how to do things.
He don't want to be here any more than we want him here. That's the fact.
Live and learn. Live and learn. And just understand you don't know, you're not right all the damn time. cmpradio.net, man, it's your boy Uncle P. I want to thank Mr. Stefan Roots for stopping through and having a conversation, man. It was a great conversation. And listen, man, you see him on the street, you can ask him anything. Where's your office at? Your office is,
we didn't even talk about that.
Right,
2608 West 3rd Street. We have a campaign office.
33rd, the old South Street.
3rd and Wilson, right down from KYJ's, right across from 2701, which is a great partner on the block.
Over town. His office is not over town.
We wanted to be on the west side where they say they don't have any representation. Nobody ever comes down here. Right. We're down every day. We're open from 4 to 7 on Monday through Thursdays. There's somebody in there. And then on Saturdays from 1 to 5. Come on down, get some literature, meet me, meet the team, join the team. You know, we're looking for volunteers. Election day is up. Everybody on the street's going to matter. You know, people need to come out and vote. The more people that vote, the better chance Stefan Roots has of winning. It's that simple. You see the signs all around town. That's because we started the process of showing people how to campaign. Now, I must say, the signs are kind of crazy out there right now. They're all over the place.
I want them all picked up the day after Election Day. All of them picked up the day after Election Day. All of them picked up the day after. I need you to look at me. I want them all picked up the day after Election Day. I'm tired of coming out and seeing them in the next week, next month, It's signs up right now in a park right now for somebody that ran back in November. Get your signs up. Pick your signs up. Win or lose. Please pick your signs up. But go ahead, carry on.
No, that's it. No, thanks so much for the opportunity to be here. Thank you, people, for viewing.
Absolutely.
And tell your friends to come out and vote. The more people that vote, that really matters. That really, really matters. Chester has to get some respect on his name, and part of it is coming out to vote.
cmpradio.net, man. Major thanks to Mr. Stefan Roots. Remember, again, next Tuesday, Mayor Thaddeus Kirkland is going to come through here. Got some questions for him. Different questions than Mr. Roots. More questions. And I don't want anybody to think I'm being hard on the mayor, but he is the mayor. And he has to be accountable. And we had that conversation. We talked about that, and he said he's willing to do that. Let's have a conversation. So make sure you tune in next Tuesday, 4 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, I'll let you know. cmpradio.net, you already know. It's the station.
cmpradio.net, the voice of